In this lesson, we'll continue on building our capsule by looking at building the interior. So we have three pieces now: the pod main, the landing gear underneath, just a flat plane right now, and then the canopy. So what we want to do is build this sort of interior space where our seat is going to be. So the first thing I want to do is build kind of the thickness of the walls. So there are a few different ways we can do this. Let's go ahead and start with the pod main, and I want to select the edges all the way around here. So if I go ahead and just go to edge, the edge tool, and I'm going to double click on this edge, you can see it selects that entire border edge, which is what I want. Okay, so we looked at how we can extrude faces or polygons, but we can also extrude edges. So let's take a look at how this works. So we'll right click and we'll go to the same tool. We'll go to extrude, and we can now extrude this. Okay, so let's go ahead and just pull this out here. Okay, now before we let off, we'll go ahead and set some of the attributes here. So what we want to do is, right now you can see this is being pulled out. We want it to go back into the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and change the edge angle, and you can see as I change this angle, those edges are kind of flipped in and out. So I'm going to go ahead and dial this edge angle to a negative amount until it's sort of going in. I don't want to go all the way in. I want to come kind of almost straight down here. Okay, you can see we get something like that. You can also change the offset, and I would take it down a little bit further than you might think, so we can kind of penetrate that in with some of the a piece underneath there. If you want to add a division in there, you certainly can. Okay, so we'll set that angle. I want it to give it some thickness as it's going straight in. I want to give it a little bit more thickness than we might want, and I don't want to go all the way in like this or all the way in like that. So I want it to kind of come down. Now you can see you're getting close to penetrating into the back right there, and so you just want to be aware of that as far as your offset goes. Okay, so maybe something like that would work. Okay, now if you want to continue to manipulate this and you can't get the exact look that you want, you can always come in with those edges still selected and start to come in here and shape this. Now keep in mind, since we have this edge now and we're only working with this edge selection, if you make any drastic changes, they're not going to be reflected on the shape as a whole because you still have this edge here. So you'd have to come in here and also manipulate this edge if you wanted to still get kind of a smooth transition there. All right, now for the we want a kind of a piece of geometry that's covering the kind of inside here, so we can start to shape this a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull down these points. So I'll select this point, and this point, and let's go ahead and pull these down. And you can work from your side view if you want to. We can go ahead and scale those to kind of straighten them up. Okay, we can do the same thing here. We can kind of pull these down. If you want to change your axis to a normal, then you can slide it along the surface. Okay, and then we can sort of do the same thing down here. I'll select both of these. Let's go ahead and scale them out. Move them in, and then we'll select that middle one and kind of move it in, just so we kind of close in that kind of gap there on the top and bottom. Okay, so we end up with something like that for the opening. All right, now what we can do is we can either create geometry inside here, or we can use the canopy that we already have. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. So we'll go to object or model mode here, and to copy this within the objects manager, all I'm going to do is control drag one below, and that creates a copy. I'm going to turn off the original, the visibility, and then we'll take this copy, and I want to select all of the faces. Okay, and let's go to mesh, transform tools. Let's go to normal move. Okay, so we're going to move it along its normal. So I'm going to actually, you can kind of bulge it out, or I'm going to actually push it in a little bit. So kind of bring it in something like that. Let's go ahead and do a normal scale, not not a normal scale as in commands, transform tools, normal scale, but I should say regular scale. I'm going to get confused there. So I'm just going to scale this up. Okay, and now we can come from the side view and let's go to our point mode, and we want to move. So I'm going to take these points and just kind of move them down. Okay, we create this sort of interior, and all we really care about is that it's blocking all of the openings, and it gives us room to put in our seat and any other details that we might want to add. Okay, now you can also come in here, and because it's still sort of bulging, you can see that we can start to take just those center points and move those back in. Okay, and sort of make it concave instead. Okay, bring these up to penetrate with the sides, and we'll do the same thing here. Bring this down and in, select the sides, bring them up. Okay, you can select those middle ones and push those down, and so you're kind of just reversing that. Okay. All right, so I've gone ahead and finished just moving some of those points around, so you can kind of see now what we've got is sort of this concave area. We can call this something like interior for now, and then we still have our canopy here. All right, so just kind of use our extrude tool to kind of extrude in from the pod main body, and then we can use the canopy to kind of create some base geometry here and just reshape it to kind of close in that interior area. Now we have an area that we can put in our seat. So let's go ahead in the next lesson and build that seat using, again, polygon geometry. We'll look at some methods for smoothing that geometry as we go. So we'll go ahead and do that next.